proper psychologists argue that smacking is different to other kinds of corporal punishment. They argue things like smacking isn't harmful, smacking shouldn't be banned, and verbal abuse is actually more like what we should be looking at. It is possible that the use of corporal punishment on children in later development stages is more likely to overlap with physical abuse. My gut feeling is, I don't know if I could smack an 8-year-old hard enough to actually make it mean anything without bruising them or injuring them somehow. So that would be my concern. In Australia, most people of my generation were smacked as kids. So Durrant and Ensom and Strauss reckon smacking is abuse. Sorry, not smacking. They reckon corporal punishment is abuse. Now, the distinction is important. They're not arguing against smacking. They're arguing against corporal punishment. Smacking is a kind of corporal punishment, but there are a lot of other kinds of corporal punishment, like Mary Ellen experienced, that I think we can all agree would result in some negative outcomes. Probably one of the challenges in recruiting participants. All the families here were abusive families. They recognized they had a problem with violence, and it sounds like they essentially volunteered for free therapy. I'm not sure how else they could have got them into therapy. Maybe through court orders? I don't know how they got them in. Anyway, those are the kinds of families we're talking about. And the psychologists here trying to measure whether the abuse stopped after therapy. Is therapy an effective program? Yes, it is. Great. Well, can we have some more funding to do some more therapy, please? That's what this paper is really about. They're really concerned about parental anger and frustration turning into violence and hostility. And some of this research is really eye-opening. Globally, corporal punishment usually intersects with psychological aggression. This is what discipline looks like globally. This is one of the reasons that I don't say that I'm in favor of corporal punishment, because, well, if this is what you mean by corporal punishment, hitting a child with an object as hard as you can, then no, I'm not in favor of corporal punishment. This is something I need to change about the way I talk about this. I need to be much more specific about exactly what I'm in favor of and what I do with my children. What UNICEF is concerned about is when corporal punishment intersects with abuse. And that's really difficult to measure. This report compiles a range of different measures and surveys to try and get an idea of how abuse happens, so they can help the people who write the laws. If you verbally abuse your children, they're more likely to end up in jail than if you just use corporal punishment with them. If you verbally abuse your children and use corporal punishment, and you can get rid of one of them but not both, get rid of the verbal abuse. The verbal abuse is more likely to be a bigger problem. Very interesting paper.